I hope it's working. I don't know if anybody can hear me. I'm just going to check that this is working. I think it is. So I'm just going to read some poems like I did the last time I did this. I haven't prepared at all for this like I did last time, and I'm just going to wing it, which is how I got this far in life. So the first poem I'm going to read is Antidotes to Fear of Death by Rebecca Elson. Sometimes, as an antidote to fear of death, I eat the stars. Those nights lying on my back, I suck them from the quenching dark, till they are all inside me, pepper hot and sharp. Sometimes instead I stir myself into a universe still young, still warm as blood. No outer space, just space. The light of all the not yet stars drifting like a bright mist, and all of us and everything already there, but unconstrained by form. And sometimes it's enough to lie down here on earth, beside our long ancestral bones, to walk across the cobble fields of our discarded skulls, each like a treasure, like a chrysalis, thinking whatever left these husks flew off on bright wings. Rebecca Elson, who wrote that poem, was an astronomer who sort of, well, she did a lot of really interesting work and a lot of really interesting poetry. And she only has one collection of poetry, I think, which was released after she died, which is really sad. But I have it here, and it's called A Responsibility to All. So if you like that poem, it's in that book. The next poem I'm going to read is Two-Headed Calf by Laura Gilpin, who is an American poet, a nurse, and an advocate for hospital reform. Tomorrow, when the farm boys find this freak of nature, they will wrap his body in newspaper and carry him to the museum. But tonight he is alive and in the north field with his mother. It is a perfect summer evening, the moon rising over the orchard, the wind in the grass. And as he stares into the sky, there are twice as many stars as usual. One of my biggest fears when doing things like this is that I'm just speaking and there'll be no sound coming out of anyone else's computer or something, and no one will tell me, and it will just be me saying nothing. A lot of people sent me messages to say that they enjoyed watching it the first time I did this, so you really brought this on yourselves. The next poem I'm going to read is by my friend John Terranova, and I don't think it has a title. Take out your heart and wash it in the basin with soap and warm water for 20 seconds. Take out your soul and purge it of fear, then read some Kierkegaard and glance at the sky. Stop looking into your phone. It's cyclical and echoes the anxiety of a godless world. Switch off and be a tulip reaching for the coming sun. It's spring soon. You can use the orchids to cleanse the stench inside. Now I'm going to read a poem called Breaking News by Noor Hindi, who is a Palestinian-American poet. We'll wake up Sunday morning and read the paper, read each other, become consumers of each other's stories, a desperate reaching for another body's warmth, its words buoying us through a world. We carry graveyards on our backs, and I'm holding a lightning bug hostage in one hand, its light dimming in the warmth of my fist, and in the other a pen to document its death. Isn't that terrible? I'll ask you, shutting my fist once more. In interviews, I frame my subjects' stories through a lens to make them digestible to consumers. I become a machine, a transfer of information. They become a plea for empathy, an oversaturation of feelings we'll fail at transforming into action. What's lost is incalculable. And at the end of summer, the swimming pools will be gutted of water, and it will be impossible to swim. Please, if there's no sound coming out and you can't hear me, please let me know. The next poem I'm going to read is Self-Portrait Against Red Wallpaper by Richard Sykin. I read one of his poems the last time I did one of these. Close the blinds and kill the birds. I surrender my desire for a logical culmination. I surrender my desire to be healed, the blurriness of being alive. Take it or leave it, and for the most part you take it. Not just the idea of it, but the ramifications of it. People love to hate themselves, avoiding the necessary recalibrations. Shame comes from vanity. Shame means you're guilty, like the rest of us, but you think you're better than we are. Maybe you are. What would a better me paint? There is no new me, there is no old me, there's just me, the same me the whole time. Vanity, vanity, forcing your will on the world. Don't try to make a stronger wind, you'll wear yourself out. Build a better sail. You want to solve something, get out of your own way. What's the difference between me and the world? Compartmentalization. The world doesn't know what to do with my love because it isn't used to being loved. It's a framework problem. Disheartening? Obviously. I hope it's love. I'm trying really hard to make it love. I said no more severity. I said it severely and slept through all my appointments. I clawed my way into the light, but the light is just as scary. I'd rather quit. I'd rather be sad. It's too much work. Admirable? Not really. I hate my friends, and when I hate my friends I failed myself, failed to share my compassion. I shine a light on them of my own making. Septic, ugly, the wrong yellow. I mean, maybe it's better if my opponent wins. I don't really know what else to say, and I didn't bring enough poems to not know what to say, so this will be over very quickly. This next poem is Love Version of by Richard Scott from his book Soho. This book is, wow, yeah. There's some poems in it that just make me howl laughing, and then some other ones that are really heavy, but I would definitely recommend it. So this is Love Version of. Tonight I watched you sleep naked on the futon, face down, sweaty like a small child, and knew that everything else was bullshit. It's so hard to stay alive these days, or sane, so keep on snoring, Danny, while I guard you like a Rottweiler. Being in love with you is fucking awful, 'cause one day you'll stop breathing. In this grey light you already look dead, but then you smile, thank fuck. What are you dreaming about, baby? Wake up. Tell me if the word soul still means anything. The next poem I'm going to read is Spout by John McCullough from Reckless Paper Birds, which won the Hawthornden Poetry Prize last year. Thank you, John, for letting me read this poem of yours. Some months, all my thoughts are one colour. I hit a yellow mood and the world pours out its yolks. Tall stacks of National Geographic in Oxfam. Cranes that point uncertain fingers at the sky, while maple leaves swoop into me and cling, their veins like roads heading everywhere in fallen saffron cities. Then the teapot you saw on eBay, had to have. It was like unpacking October and standing it on our table, its yellow logic strict yet plump, offering an outsized handle, a colour that might foster never-ending cups. We filled it with boiling water, our new sun, and that first time the copper rings around its centre made it tick, 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 as if letting us know it could wipe us out if it wanted to, but we'd been spared, that we could live beside it, though should be grateful for everything of its kind which travelled towards us all the yellow days. I have 2 poems left. Really should have thought about this. So the next one I'm going to read is one that it's stuck with me since I read it, and it's called What You Learned in Therapy by Charlotte Ansell from this book. We were lucky enough to have Charlotte perform at our poetry night that we run in Rochester back in 2019, which feels like a lifetime away. And ever since then, this poem has really stuck with me, and I think about it a lot. And I've been in therapy now for 2 years, last month, and yeah, it's quite difficult, but I quite like myself now as a person, which is really nice, and it's a good way to feel. So I'm happy about that. but even when I'm having a bad day, I think about this poem. What you learned in therapy. The hours are not elastic. Your mind is a colander, letting the happy drain away, while the dregs are stubborn, stay in place. Mistakes are not seams that can be unpicked, but defiant stains. That many doors won't open, and those that do will not always lead to rooms you want to be in. You will always ride a seesaw through despair. Hope is as fragile as eggshells, but sometimes holds. That chess is won in the middle game. Those battles determine the result. When it seems life is passing you by is when it matters most. That autistic traits protect like armour. Sometimes alone is the safest place. That it doesn't often feel like it's the trying or the taking part that counts, but winning is like grasping a balloon that will deflate. Success will fade, like new clothes too many times washed. That the poem you write today is not the poem you'll write tomorrow or next week. Talk isn't cheap. Listening will, like woolen socks, trump a fancy bra that digs into flesh. That you don't feel as broken as these words suggest, you're just so tired of trying. The child who felt awkward hasn't disappeared. You are not wiser, only more battered. That there will always be winners and losers, and mostly you aren't either. The end is neither far away nor near. The trick is to remember you're here though, you're still here. I'm glad I'm still here. So the last poem I've got is a really well-known poem by Philip Larkin. I think anyone who is in therapy or recovering from something probably can identify with this poem, but also anyone who has parents or has children. So this be the verse by Philip Larkin. They fuck you up, your mum and dad. They may not mean to, but they do. They fill you with the faults they had and add some extra just for you. But they were fucked up in their turn by fools in old-style hats and coats, who half the time were soppy stern and half at one another's throats. Man hands on misery to man. It deepens like a coastal shelf. Get out as early as you can and don't have any kids yourself. And on that note, I'm going to go now because I really miss reading poetry to people, but doing it like this is not the same, and it actually freaks me out a lot more than just reading poetry to people in the back room of a pub or something. So thanks for watching. I might do it again. Yeah, bye.